We are on air.
Okay, great, thank you. I call the 2,361st meeting of the Milwaukie City Council to order. This meeting is being conducted in person at City Hall, although only Scott is there due to a variety of illnesses floating around. The rest of us are on Zoom. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall, joining the Zoom webinar, or watching on the city's YouTube channel or Comcast cable channel 30 in city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during this meeting. If you would like to address council, you may come to City Hall. However, seating is in chambers is limited. If you're interested in speaking, please let staff know by emailing ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. For those on Zoom, or by submitting a yellow comment card for those at City Hall. When it is time to take public comment, staff will monitor the comment cards, the email inbox, the Zoom participant list, and chat. We will take comments in the order that they are received and seen. Written comments may be emailed to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. The public may also participate in Zoom webinar by phone by dialing 1-253-215-8782 entering webinar ID 841-6722-7661 and the passcode 097479. If you are calling in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. Spanish translation services are available upon request. The public is asked to request translation and other meeting accessibility services at least 48 hours before the meeting. Contamos con servicio de traducción al español cuando sea solicitado. Se pide al público que solicite servicios de traducción y otros servicios de accesibilidad para reuniones por lo menos 48 horas antes de la reunión. Translation services are also available in other languages. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The city of Milwaukie respectfully acknowledges that our community is located on the ancestral homeland of the Clackamas people. In 1855, the surviving members of the Clackamas signed the Willamette Valley Treaty, also known as the Kalapuya Etc. Treaty, with the federal government in good faith. We offer our respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this land. Tonight's announcements. An open house is being held tomorrow evening to help refine the master plan for Ball 4 Park from 6 to 8 p.m. The event is a drop-in open house style event with face painting, balloon animals, yard games, a kids design table, and other family-friendly activities. Balfour Park is located at 4200 Southeast Bowman Street in Ardenwald-Johnson Creek neighborhood. The Milwaukie Art Committee is hosting another...
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, that's not the same address that's on the slide, and I don't think that was the correct address that you read out loud.
All right, I'm reading from my script, so...
Well, it's Balfour Street, it's not Bowman Street, and it's it's the 3000 block of Balfour Street, yeah. You won't miss it if you get to Balfour Street, don't worry, but yeah.
Yeah, go to 32nd, turn downhill on Balfour.
Yeah.
Okay. The Milwaukie Art Committee is hosting another year of Porch Fest events with 2 more coming up on Friday, July 22nd and July 29th. The community is invited to create music from their own homes or walk and bike around the city to enjoy the sights and sounds. For details about each Porch Fest evening, including a map of performance locations, visit MilwaukeePorchFest.com. The city's annual Open Streets event called the Carefree Sunday returns on Sunday, August 7th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event opens more than 5 miles of streets to people by closing them to cars. The result is people biking, walking, rolling, and connecting with the community. The event is not possible without dozens of volunteers. Visit the city website to learn more about the event and register to volunteer today. City Manager Ann Ober is hosting another open door session for community members on Tuesday, July 26th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at City Hall. The sessions are a great way to ask questions, raise concerns, or just find out more about what the city is doing. No sign-up is necessary. Attending an upcoming open house to help refine the master plan for Bowman Bray Park on Tuesday, July 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. The event is a drop-in open house style event with face painting, balloon animals, yard games, a kids design table, and other family-friendly activities. Bowman Bray Park is located, and this time it's right, at 4200 Southeast Bowman Street in the Lake Road neighborhood. For more information about each of these events and others, please visit the city's homepage at milwaukeeoregon.gov or call 503-786-7555.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
I mean, we will meet again on August 2nd, which is just before the neighborhood concert series begin, but those are coming back in August on Wednesdays and Thursdays in August. So I know people are excited about that. And on Saturday, August 13th, NCPRD is sponsoring a concert in Milwaukie Bay Park with I'm not going to remember the name of it, but it's a soul band that looks great. I went on their website and listened to some of their music. They look great. And they're going to have food. They're going to have Breakside there. And at 5 o'clock before the concert, we're going to bring back the duck races over Kellogg Dam. So lots of fun on August 13th.
Cool.
And Mr. Mayor, if you will entertain a couple more announcements.
Okay. Go ahead.
If I can get there you go. For the general good of the order, 2022 is an election year. It's not a presidential election year, but there are lots of other elections happening, including 4 of the 5 city council positions in Milwaukie will be on the ballot this fall. So just wanted to review some of the dates real quick. The filing window for anybody interested in running for the positions is basically the month of August 1st through August 30th. The positions on the ballot this fall will include positions 2, 4, and the mayor's position, which are regularly scheduled. And those elections are for a full 4-year term starting January 1st, 2023. And position 1 is on the ballot as a special election to elect someone to finish the term started that began January 1st, 2021 with Angel Falconer in the position. So there'll be 4 seats at the November 8th, 2022 election. If you're interested in running, please reach out to me, the city recorder's office. We have to have there's a little bit of discussion, and I've got to verify that interested people are eligible to run. So beginning August 1st, I can start having those one-on-ones and start accepting the usual election forms for that. Information on the city elections are available at milwaukieoregon.gov/elections. People may feel free to reach out to me by email at ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov or at the phone number there, 503-786-7502. Additionally, and for the first time in this election cycle, we're going to offer 2 informational sessions for individuals interested in running for city council on August 4th and August 18th. There's some information on the city's website about that as well.
16th or 18th, Scott?
18th, it's Thursdays. It's the first Thursday and the third Thursday. I believe it's, well, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the first and third Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah, the website says 16 and my notes say 18. I will fix that because one of them is right. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there in the general order of a public meeting. And happy to entertain any questions about that if anyone's interested. But thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, seeing none. Our next item is related to the last thing. It's a recognition of Councilor Angel Falconer's service. We have a plaque for Angel. And I would imagine that the members of council will want to thank her. You can see the plaque, sort of. It wants to go out of focus. It seems like I've known Angel forever. Early days of campaigning, the PSAC, and the early days of the, well, geez, even before that, when we were discussing having a not little league, what was the ball field? Minor league ball field. You were very involved in that too. And then she chaired PSAC as we developed the SAFE program. And then ran for council, what was it, 6 years ago now. Has been on council ever since. Has been a super champion for the climate, for housing in particular, put tons of extracurricular sort of work in that realm, as do most of the councilors. extracurricular work, not housing specifically. And has always been a fierce advocate for affordable housing and for equity, generally speaking. She has been a great asset to the city, and I, for one, will miss serving with her. I'll let other folks chime in.
Oh, I want to go if there's time, just so I'm going to. I know I'm not a council member. I am actually speaking on behalf of the incredible staff of Milwaukie, and I know how much you meant to them. I know the time you spent with them and the commitment you made to them every day. And I really appreciate that commitment that you made to show up for them and to support them and to help them. So we miss you a lot. Adam is doing great. I want to be really clear, like he's doing great, but we miss you a lot. And I know this is a really hard one for you. So thank you for your service. And when half of us don't have COVID or something else, we will get together with you. And it would be nice to spend some time just reminiscing and hearing more about your new world. So thank you for your countless years and hours and meetings of dedication. We could not have done the last 6 years without you.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll just chime in and say, yeah, I'm really bummed that we're not doing this in person, and I hope that we will be able to do this in person. Maybe even if it has to be outdoors, maybe we'll find a way to do it outdoors. You were somebody who really got involved in helping transform Milwaukie from a city that said no to any change to a city that embraces change for the most part. And, your work on the PSAC in particular, which was instrumental in getting us to the SAFE program and the SAFE fee. And I know that was a lot of hours, a lot of time going to all the neighborhoods. I did not remember your involvement in the stadium stuff, so I'll have to ask about that sometime. Yeah, we miss having you here. You made great contributions to Milwaukie in lots of ways. And I wish you all the best as a West Sider.
I am one of the sick people, so I'm going to sound more low energy than I feel. But I wanted to say thank you for being one of my teachers and for being one of my companions in walking the road in some hard conversations, and for always showing up with your whole heart and bringing your very sharp mind with you every single time. You have been such a gift to this community in your advocacy for people who are not accustomed to having advocates, and in your just ongoing dedication to trying to make Milwaukie a better place for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for that. That is, legacy is kind of an overused word, but it is a legacy that will be here well past, your departure from council. So thank you.
I'll keep this short and sweet. Thank you, Angel, for all that you've done, and I miss you as a neighbor.
Angel, I didn't get a chance to serve with you on council. Unfortunately, I wish I did. But just from my short time of my family being here, we've seen what you've done here. You've been an inspiration to so many people in this community, and your passion for housing, affordable housing, is something that I hope to carry on. You have left giant shoes to fill, and I can only hope to do as much as I can to fill those shoes, even though I know I probably won't be able to. So I do appreciate everything you've done for this city. And I wish you and your family the best of luck going forward. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Chief, you want to say anything or?
I'm stumbling through my buttons over here. Yeah, Angel, it's been really nice to get to know you and to get to work with you. I can only imagine what it's like to be a counselor, and I can only imagine the endless phone calls and emails and work behind the scenes that goes on, and the impact that has to you and your family. I really appreciate your dedication and commitment to this city. And I'm happy for you and your family as you start this next chapter. And I know it will probably be a great step for you and your family. So I'm excited for you, and we'll definitely miss you here within the city.
Well, I guess you won't be surprised to know that, of course, I read my packet and was prepared for your meeting tonight. I wanted to make sure I knew what was going on. I miss you all very, very much. And Adam, thank you for your service as well to our country, and also for stepping up on council. I count it as one of the best, most fun and rewarding and difficult challenges and privileges. And I would just encourage folks, to step up for your community, because it's incredible work. It's powerful work. It's also very personally rewarding. So, we're coming up on exciting times for Milwaukie. All the positions that are going to be on the ballot. That's unique and exciting, and I know that Milwaukee's in good hands, because in my conversations and around town, I think that people are more engaged than maybe they ever have been, and certainly in the time that I've been in the community and grown to love it so much. It's just such an honor to be here, and I'm just really humbled by all of your words, and I have to say I'm a little overwhelmed. And I just thank you. One of the things I just want to mention, and I guess maybe some unsolicited advice. Obviously the work was very visible that we did on housing and safe and equity and justice and this climate. But one of the things that inspired me to run was before I joined council, I felt that we had a lot of expertise that existed, a lot of dedication among our staff in particular. And sometimes council that didn't seem to appreciate or respect the deep knowledge and passion that those folks bring to their jobs every day. And the city of Milwaukie is incredibly lucky to have their leadership and to also have the partnership with the council, because I think that when those two things work well together, the city really benefits from that. So I really appreciate especially Anne's words and Luke's words, and I hope that you all will extend to everyone how much I miss them and how much I miss working with them. And not enough good things can be said about all of you. Thank you.
Detective, I saw a hand up. Did you want to say something? No, it's just an accidental hand. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to?
Yeah, so definitely you'll have to come back over to this side of the hill at some point and receive your plaque and get it so all of us can have a chance to catch up and hear about your new life. And,
I expect you'll see me often. There's no way I can stay away from Milwaukie for very long.
The big question is how long it will take you to get on a committee in Forest Grove.
Committee, I'm wondering how long it'll be before she's the mayor of Forest Grove.
Probably be a while. Have some things to work out here at home. Well, and I guess I won't, leave that unmentioned. I think it's important for folks to, to be transparent and open about their experiences. This job was difficult to manage without being sick. And my health adventures are not over. I continue to struggle with our healthcare system and all of those challenges. I think it's important for us to recognize our limits. And I met mine, and I had to make some decisions. And some of them are exciting, and some of them are, it's very sad to step down from council. But sometimes you just have to prioritize your health. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you recognize that. And did what was the right thing for you and for your family. It would be easy to not do that too. We will miss you. Thank you for all the amazing things, and we'll make sure that some of the ribbon cuttings and things that are coming up, that you get an invite to those. You were instrumental in making those happen.
Thank you. That'll be fun.
All right. Thanks, Angel. Community comments. This is the part of the agenda during which council will hear community member statements regarding city business. For those in person who wish to speak, please submit a yellow comment card found on the table just outside the door. If you're on Zoom, please use the raised hand reaction to alert staff that you wish to speak. And when instructed to begin, click the microphone option to unmute yourself. If you're calling in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. You may also email comments to ocr@milwaukeeoregon.gov. Before you make your comments, please state your name and city of residence for the record. If you would like the city to follow up with you, please submit your contact information to ocr@milwaukeeoregon.gov. This council has other business items on the agenda this evening. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because information provided during community comments may be new, the city manager will respond at the next council meeting to those comments that will follow up. Before we begin, is there a follow-up from the June 21st community comments? It's over.
There are not. Thank you.
Scott, what do we have?
Mr. Mayor, we do have a yellow comment card submitted by Pat Strauss, who is in the chambers here. So I will redirect the in-chambers camera to the testimony table, and Pat, you may come forward.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm here regarding an ordinance. It's called Commercial Vehicle Pleasure Craft and Recreational Parking. It's intended to preserve the neighborhoods by minimizing impacts created by parking and storing commercial vehicles, boats, and RVs. I am not sure if you guys are aware of that ordinance or not. I didn't even know it existed until lately. We've lived in the city of Milwaukie for well over 40 years. We've had both RVs and boats on our property for over 25 years, never been a problem. All of a sudden now it is a problem. We received a notice of violation stating that one of the two have to go or we have to put them inside of a garage. We don't have a garage. We don't have room for a garage. I can do a portable garage, which will fit on the property just fine, but I was told by the inspector that we couldn't, that we didn't have the room for it, even though we do. I was told that a complaint was filed on our property, and that's why they pursued it. In investigating further, I found out there never was a complaint. Apparently there was a complaint further down the road, and he saw ours, so he went ahead and filed the complaint against us himself. But that's not what they told me. They told me there was a complaint, so obviously they kind of fudged there a little. Then I was told that we could never bring the boat back by the supervisor of the inspector. He said, obviously, we're not going to drive by every day, but you know, the boat can't come back. Well, the inspector that gave us the notice stated that we could have it on the property for 24 hours for loading and unloading. I'm a little frustrated with the city of Milwaukie and the inspectors. If you even walk a few blocks from our house, either direction, any direction, you will find numerous boats, RVs, multiple boats, multiple RVs. You'll find sheds, permanent sheds that are right on their property line. You'll find portable garages that are right on their property line. Yet I can't have one behind my fence where you can't even see my boat other than the tower. Both our RV and our boat are new. They're well maintained. Our house is maintained. Our yard is maintained. We've never caused any problems. And I'm asking the city of Milwaukie to allow me to at least keep both on our property and get a portable garage to cover the boat. I mean, I can go on, but I know I'm limited to time.
Thanks. Make sure that Scott has all of your contact information,
I will.
your address and everything. And then we will respond to you at the very latest by the next council meeting, but I suspect there will be conversations before that. It would be helpful to me if you also emailed me with your information.
I would love to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Scott?
Double checking the email, Mr. Mayor. See no on email, I see no, in Zoom, I see no hands raised, and that's the only yellow comment card I have in the room, Mr. Mayor. That's it.
All righty. All right. Next item up is consent agenda. Get screen share. All right, tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the city council from June 7th, 2022, a work session, June 7th, 2022, a regular session, June 14th, 2022, a study session, June 21st, 2022, a work session, and June 21st, 2022, a regular session. We have a resolution making the following appointments. David Chitson to the Budget Committee, Sophie Sherman Burton to the Citizens Utility Advisory Board, Julie Garvey and Ryan Lowther to the Design and Landmarks Committee. We have a resolution authorizing a lease with T-Mobile for the purpose of installing, operating, and maintaining a communications facility. And we have a Liquor Control Commission application from Milwaukie Premium Beverages at 10804 Southeast Oak Street for off-premises sales. Does any member of council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None heard. It passes unanimously. All right. Our next is a business item, behavioral health and outreach positions discussion. This will be led by our police chief, Luke Straight, and our police officer, Kenny Seamark.
Give me 1 minute here to navigate screen sharing. Good evening. My name is Luke Straight, and I am the chief of police. And with me here this evening, as the mayor mentioned, is Detective Kenny Seamark. It's good to see you, Mayor, and members of council. And I'm going to begin sharing my screen. And Scott, does it look like you're seeing the right main screen now?
We're seeing your preview slide, Luke.
Okay, 1 moment.
So you got to just switch which screen you're sharing. Actually, if you hit display settings, maybe Luke, on the view you're sharing, top left.
Yeah.
I think swap. There you go. Do that. There we are. There you go.
All right, that was mildly terrifying. Thanks for your patience. So again, we are here this evening to give you a bit of an update regarding behavioral health and also houselessness issues and some sort of research and a position change related to that. We would like to start out this evening by acknowledging some partners that have worked with us particularly a lot over the last 6 to 12 months. Vahid Brown, first and foremost, with Clackamas County Supportive Housing, has worked with us very closely on this project over the last 6 months. Brandy and Tom Johnson with Loved One, and I think with all of these individuals, council and much of the community are already familiar with them. Glenn Sikonic, who's also associated with Loved One and Central City Concern. He works closely with our folks often in the field, like Detective Kenny Seamark and our houseless outreach individuals, which also include Melissa Campos and previously Officer Billy Wells. And then Bill Stewart, who is with the Clackamas County District Attorney's Office. His job title is Community Prosecutor, and his role kind of is try to avoid using the criminal justice system and prosecution as a solution to community, neighborhood, and livability issues. He also has been a very strong partner on this, representing not only the DA's office, but Rotary as well. And then Amy Jo Cook and April Heron with Clackamas County. Amy Jo Cook is with Clackamas Fire, and April Heron is with Clackamas County, and they represent Project Hope and community paramedicine, among other things. And I think many of you are familiar with many of these people. I could go on and add another 10 names to this list, but see, these are some of the people that we've worked the most closely with, particularly the last 6 to 12 months, and we appreciate their help and their partnership. So a brief history and overview. Milwaukie Police Department has typically had one homeless liaison officer, and I know we've been in front of council and have talked about how we use that position and the fact that the needs associated with that position have increased recently over the last several years. That officer volunteers to take on additional responsibilities, but they are a full-time police officer who works at district. And so their availability and scope is definitely limited by all the job requirements that come with the police officer position. Our folks, of course, do receive training, basic training in crisis intervention and de-escalation. And that is, of course, particularly relevant to the crisis work and mental health intervention type work that police officers have to do. We've talked, I know, several times over the past couple of years about how the demands related to mental health crisis and homelessness have continued to increase. And I know most of us have seen and felt some of the impacts of that within the community and within the neighborhoods. The county services have continued to expand and try to expand over the course of the last few years to meet these needs. but I believe they would agree that there's never enough resources. They're always spread too thin. They can't be everywhere at once. And there's a lot of competition for those services throughout the county. I know you all recall that in August of 2020, council passed one of their goals related to equity, inclusion, and justice. And the equity and inclusion goal is particularly relevant to these issues that involve marginalized community members and people that are in crisis and dealing with housing instability. So this generally relates to that council goal. When we deal with calls for service, they can often have a nexus to mental health crisis, and it's often not clear at the very beginning, and we'll continue to develop information throughout the course of the call. So it may not be clear at the beginning or until we're deep into the call to what extent mental health crisis is one of the driving factors in that call. But unfortunately, law enforcement is one of those few services that's 24/7. And if you call us, we will almost always show up unless there's a reason we shouldn't. But while we may have the best of intentions and we have decent basic training, we're certainly not clinical experts in crisis. And we have definitely felt the increased needs there, and that we often look to some of our external service providers through Clackamas County and some of those partners I mentioned to help manage those issues. But again, we definitely feel that there's not enough resources there. And often they're not immediately available, or they can't be where we need them within the time frame that we need them. So we're forced to deal with some of these issues on our own the best that we can. And that has been a challenge, particularly the last couple of years. We do also receive referrals through medical professionals or the crisis line because it's something that they can't respond to, or it's something where the level of safety concern is such that they can't send an outreach worker to it by themselves. Another area that has definitely seen these needs and felt the pressures is our own Leading library. That has for a long time been a safe space for community members. And they can't have contact with staff. They may have needs. And our city staff does a fantastic job of trying to meet people where they're at, identify what their needs are, and see if there is something they can do to help them, and to always be a welcoming space. But they have reported that that has become more and more challenging the last year or two. And more often they find themselves in a situation where they can't deal with the circumstances they're faced with, and they're forced to call police for help. Or to try and call social services. And again, I think they see the same struggle where the resources are stretched too thin, and often they may be unavailable. So we've heard some of the struggle from our library staff as well.
There'll be some follow-up on email. No, nothing at all.
I'm not going to spend long on this particular slide, but when we deal with these calls, we try and identify if what we're evaluating is a criminal issue, if it's a mental health issue, or it is a combination of those two things. And there certainly are a lot that can be a combination of those two things. We try and then do the best job we can of evaluating the best solutions and resources for that. But we're doing that from the role of a police officer who is also a human being and cares deeply about the community, but certainly not as a clinical expert. And we have recognized the need for clinical experts who really know how to navigate and maximize the social services that are out there and be a resource for people that are struggling. And their time is managed differently than ours. They're not managing the same exact call volume and call load that we are. So as we evaluated this, and I know we were in front of you folks a year or so ago, and we said we wanted to watch the community around us and evaluate the changes that were made not only in Clackamas County, but throughout the region of the country, and look for the best ways to expand and evolve our services. And we have spent a lot of the last year doing that. I want to also acknowledge all of the work that Detective Kenny Simak has done on this. He is someone who is kind of the boots on the ground out there dealing with people on a regular basis. And he does a fantastic job. And I've frequently heard that from people like Brandy and Tom with Loved One and Glenn Sekonic, who often will call me or email me to tell me what a fantastic job he does of balancing some really challenging issues and trying to meet some of those community needs. I also want to acknowledge the work that my boss, Ann Ober, has done, particularly over the last year or so, evaluating this issue and trying to help identify the right response, and also trying to garnish the support of Clackamas County. It can be easy for different entities to say, you know what, we're not sure that your approach or solution is the perfect one, so we want to go a different direction. And Ann has been a critical piece of getting the support that we need to move forward on this, when it could be easy for people to disagree and want to go a different direction. So we've identified the need to prioritize those needs that we see in the community and maybe accept more responsibility for them. In the past, many of those issues are social service issues that have been previously handled by the county. I think it's in all of our best interest if we take more responsibility for those and more actively ask, what can we do to be a part of the solution, instead of waiting for someone else to solve those problems when there just aren't enough people solving those problems. Whenever possible, we want to avoid using the criminal justice system as the solution. There's certainly a time and a place for that. But that can't be the only tool in our toolbox, and shouldn't even necessarily be the main tool, especially with these particular issues that we're talking about, where it's housing and mental health crisis. We want to find the other tools and learn how to navigate them and use them so that we can get results for our community members and our community. And we want to focus on outcomes so that we're not just putting a Band-Aid on a problem and walking away. We're actually helping people get the outcomes that they need, which are in their best interest and in the community's best interest as well. That requires, as you know, collaboration and intervention, and then very importantly, follow-up, hopefully with people with true expertise in those issues, which admittedly law enforcement often doesn't have. So over the course of the last 6 to 12 months, we have concluded and are recommending that we need more clinical specialists working on these issues, specifically mental health crisis and houseless challenges. We need people with clinical expertise, and we need people that are dedicated specifically to our community. If we're calling someone that's pulled 6 different directions and works for the county at large, and they receive phone calls from all over Clackamas County, it's going to be very difficult to get the level of service we would hope to get for those individuals in our community, and very difficult to get the follow-up that those individuals need and to help produce the positive outcomes. We've concluded that we're best served, our community members are best served if those individuals are working within the city, and therefore they're dedicated to the city versus being pulled in the direction of every other city in the county at the same time. We believe that those recommendations will result in the best possible service for a lot of our vulnerable community members, and that it can be solution and outcome based, and also database, and it could relieve some of the burden on our police officer staff and other staff like our library folks who are really feeling the strain of some of these issues. Follow-up is a critical component of that. It takes time and expertise. And admittedly, often our police officers do not have that time, and they often don't have the level of expertise that a clinician would, for sure. And it takes an expert to help bridge the gap and at times people with lived experiences that understand what someone is going through and the challenges they're facing, and some of the reasons why they may fail repeatedly before they can hope to have any success. And I know that we can get that with actual clinicians versus police officers that are expected to be able to deal with a little bit of everything that comes up. Those clinicians could respond without police at times, depending on the details of the calls, and they could respond in addition to police at times based on the details of the calls. We use that model to some extent now when we're calling for resources outside of the city, and clinicians can consult with us, or they can respond to deal with or help deal with the situation when they're available. We just find that they're pulled too many directions and are often unavailable. And in those situations, then police officers like Kenny, unfortunately, may have to just do the best they can dealing with those situations on their own. Outcomes for these people, and more of a shared workload with all of our city staff. And there are many other names and positions I haven't mentioned that also feel some of the pressure of these issues today. So what we're recommending now, we have a draft position description for this job, the behavioral health or crisis clinician. And we have collaborated with people inside the city, as well as with Lake Oswego and Oregon City and Clackamas County, as we've kind of developed that job description. We would finalize that job description and then recommend a recruitment as soon as possible for the behavioral health specialist position, which we have identified funding for. And then we would recommend continuing the process with Clackamas County for a contracted and embedded houseless peer support position. I know that position would be incredibly valuable to our community and to our staff that are trying to help folks, but often don't have the time and the expertise or the ability to do the follow-up that's really necessary for those positions. Kenny Simak is one of the people that actually to talk about his perspective as well.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. I don't really know what more I can add based on the presentation. Like you said, I was the most recent homeless outreach officer while I was working the road. I recently took a position up in detective, so I won't be as active in the role as I once was. You mentioned the relationships that we've built with Love One and Glenn at Central City Concern and all these other outreach organizations. They're crucial. Specifically, Brandy and Glenn, I know at any time of day I can shoot them a text, say, hey, I need this, this, and this. And within an hour, they're saying, where can we meet you? Let's make this happen. So those relationships are crucial. I look forward to helping whoever takes over my role, which I believe is going to be Officer Melissa Campos, pass those contacts on to her and keep that going so this continues to grow legs.
And that has been obviously a very quick overview. I generally know what I'm trying to say, but I'm sure there's gaps in that. And Anne was kind of spectating through that, so she can help kind of identify what those gaps are. And we're open to questions and feedback on that recommendation.
I'd actually love to turn it over to Councilor Nicodemus before we go into any more details, just to see what questions come up tonight, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. This is awesome. A couple of things that thinking, what are the real possibilities of having folks in this position by fall when there's so much, when it's really hard to hire folks? Second, when we get them on, what are we going to do to make sure we retain them and don't lose them to burnout?
I'm going to talk about the first one, and then I'm going to let the chief talk about the second one, if that's okay. So we've had a number of conversations with people in the community. There's some benefits to being on this team. It's a well-paying job. So we actually did price this at the right price point instead of being a position for an entry-level individual. We're looking for somebody who has a significant amount of experience. We also looked at, we're trying to keep these during somewhat normal business hours. That person will come in and out on weekends and nights as needed, but we're trying to give them some work-life balance as well. There's some benefit to doing this and not having to take on clients right now, to know that you have a consistent workload, that your salary isn't tied to clientele. So there's some benefits here. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I do think that it's always difficult, but I have had a couple of conversations with individuals who have provided service in a similar fashion, whether it was at a jail or at a police department or in a city service area. And everyone I've talked to has said this is a good position and that they're intrigued by it. Not that they're going to be our person, but that they actually think it's well positioned. So I feel good about that. It's always hard, but we've had fairly good luck this year. And I just want to call out that the police department has done an excellent job over the last 2 years of finding some incredible humans as people have retired and a few have left. I also just want to call out for anybody who may be watching tonight. The Detective Cymax really fun to hang out with, as is Officer Campos, as is the team. And so this is actually a really neat opportunity to work with a cool department that's pretty grounded and passionate and excited about what we do for the people of Milwaukie. So I'm really hopeful that this will go well, but also it's just special thanks to Chief Strait for all of his work on hiring over the last couple of years. Go for it, detectives.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Ann said about kind of the workload aspect, as far as the burnout, it's been my experience from seeing cities that have already done this, such as Lake Oswego and Oregon City. The people that they've hired are somebody that I would, especially Oregon City with Val, I really wish that we could get her over to us somehow, but her workload, she's able to focus now on the city of Oregon City instead of Oregon City, Sandy, Gladstone, Milwaukie, being pulled 10 different directions. She's able to focus her efforts. So I think her work goes a lot further. And she's doing exactly what she wants to do. I mean, that's what she went to school for. And we're hoping, I'm sure, to find that same person.
And just to add to those answers, until we announce the job, it's hard to say, how many applicants we'll get, how easy it will be to fill. We kind of know what we're looking for and what the right fit might look like. But until you announce that position and wait and see the applications roll in, it's hard to say. I agree that, if we look at the clinicians that work for the county at large, those are challenging jobs and they see a lot of attrition. The two neighboring cities that have hired one clinician for their city, those people have tended to stick around. I think there might be a more manageable scope and a smaller team that they can connect with. And I think that regardless of which position title we're looking at, we try to obviously find the right people and keep the right people with a particular culture. And that's not just a buzzword. They have to identify with what we're doing and why we want to do it a certain way and what's important to us. And when we find those people that identify with what the city is doing here in this issue or any other issue, then it all clicks and good things happen. So that's what we would hope. And I know they would be embraced and they would feel the support of Lake Oswego and Westland and Oregon City, because those cities have done similar things. They would also be embraced and feel the support of Clackamas County. And we've had fantastic support from the Heat on this. as well as people like Brandy and Tom and Glenn Sekonic. And that's the type of wraparound support that any employee would love to have. And it makes them feel valued and like they're doing something that's important and they're a part of something that's really good. So that's how we would hope to keep, find the right people and keep those people.
Desi, do you have more comments or questions?
Yeah, I do have one. So when they're called, when the mental health folks are called, they won't roll up with police, right? They'll look different, right?
Yes. Yes, it would look different. And we will identify exactly what that different looks like. But they're not dressed like us. And then they would have a lot to say in when they were comfortable going to a call without any law enforcement, and when they wanted a safety net there. So we would, as much as possible, defer to them and say, you let us know what your comfort level is. Lake Oswego, LOCOM is our dispatch center. They have been dispatching clinicians like this already for the past year or so. So they're kind of used to that, which is a good thing because getting dispatch centers familiar with triaging calls and identifying who can go to them is a big part of this process. Unfortunately, we're not like as big as the city of Portland or a dispatch center like BOAC or a smaller center, and they do have experience with this now. And their clinician over there would do anything to support our city as we start or continue down the path that they've already been down.
Part of the budget we also set is a separate car. So they will have their own vehicle for going to calls.
Thank you for answering all my questions.
Kathy.
Will that other vehicle be a Tesla?
Actually, better. I mean, it's hard to be better than a Tesla, but Luke, do you want to share?
I think we've identified a slightly used hybrid Ford Mach 1, which I'm only barely familiar with, but our fleet folks identified that as a vehicle that was very intriguing to them, kind of a crossover shaped hybrid. And although they were having a very difficult time finding one, and they thought we had lost the opportunity, they found one that was slightly used. And I think they may have sunk their the claws into that. So
I approved it yesterday.
Cool.
And here I was just kidding, but that's great. No, I just wanted to really say thank you because this has been a conversation that's been swirling in various forms on council for a long time now. And I can really see the underpinnings of the conversations we've had and the care that staff has put into making this something that is going to be as successful as possible. You know, I really appreciate Detective Slimak sinking the time into developing those community relationships and being committed to passing those along to the next folks. The part where we've got dispatch already trained up on it and we've got peer support in the neighboring cities is really exciting. It feels like this could really work. And, you know, the last time Vahid Brown from Clackamas County was here, he said Milwaukie is one of the places that has the highest demand for calls of this nature. So it's really exciting that we're to a point where we will be able to meet those locally in a police department that has a long record of demonstrating its care and concern for houseless folks and for folks who are struggling with mental crises, all the things. Thank you so much for really doing a lot of work to make this launch a really good one.
Adam.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what Councilor Heisey said. She pretty much said it all, really. Just thank you to the department and for staff for, I mean, just being able to realize and recognize that this is a need and this is something that is the direction that we're headed in. So I really appreciate that, the willingness and just, you know, always working hard to make sure that you know, Milwaukie is the place for everyone to call home, regardless of status or who they are. So, you know, making people feel safe, that's huge, and not just that, but making them feel welcome. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate what this police department does and what staff does, and enough can't be said. So this is huge. This is a massive step. So I hope the public can realize just how big this is for us. So thank you.
Yeah, outstanding. Can't wait to get this going, get it on the street.
Councilor Beatty, did you have anything else? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's really exciting. I think we recognize the need for this even before the events of the summer of 2020 that brought policing so much on the forefront of national. I think we've kind of recognized the need for this even longer. But last year's conversation with the two officers who described what the frustrations are and what the worries are for them, and what the feelings of, inadequacy are sometimes for them, was really powerful. That's one of the most powerful city council meetings I've ever been to in 8 years. And so I'm glad that we're taking this step forward, and it's pretty exciting. And I'm optimistic that you'll have people even before late fall.
Awesome. Well, part of this too, and I just wanted to call this out as we're closing out tonight, this is a part of a bigger package, right? Our houseless community is struggling. We're struggling. We're trying to figure out ways to provide services we haven't provided for in the past. And that means we need a whole bunch of things in our bucket. So Detective Simek has been talking to us for the last couple of years about what some of those things are. You're going to start seeing us coming forward in the next 2 months with things that we'll be asking for support on in order to do this sort of well-rounded approach that we're really attempting. One of the things we've been talking about is trying to figure out if there was a pod situation that we could hold. We actually received a second rejection today. So that is, again, sort of on the back burner, but we have a bunch of stuff we're going to be bringing forward, including some ordinance changes, just to allow for everyone to be as successful as possible in the coming months and years. So stay tuned. If this is of interest to you and you're watching tonight, I would come back probably in 6 to 8 weeks. Part of why we haven't brought all of that forward yet is we'd like to meet with this group that Luke alluded to make sure that the verbiage and everything really works for the services we're trying to provide. And we're looking forward to the ongoing conversation. But I know we've said it about a dozen times tonight, but actually Detective Simek is also here on his free time in a very free time way. And I'm going to out him as having a really cool family at the moment that recently grew. So congratulations to him. So thank you for coming in tonight. But generally, just know we'll be back.
All right, thanks all for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good to be here.
All right. Our next item is Main Street Trees and Sidewalks, an update from our city engineer, Steve Adams.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure I see Steve on Zoom quite yet.
Do you want to do the council chamber update while we're waiting?
That was going to be my suggestion. I'm happy to do that. Good evening, council, once again. I've been having some glitching in chambers with the stuff deciding to have a mind of its own. So y'all can hear me, it looks like, because you're reacting to things. And if I stop talking or freeze, my apologies. I don't know what's happening, but I am alone here in chambers for the record. So this should be, I think, relatively quick, and let me share my screen. We have a updated version of the new City Hall Council chambers that we wanted to share with you based on the feedback that we got from council a few weeks ago and from staff. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. So this is the south end of the third floor of the new City Hall chambers. And you'll see that it's most similar to the first configuration option we showed you before, with a few changes. I believe they squeezed in a few more chairs here. And this is 120 plus down here. I think it gets us to about 130, 140 chairs. And that would probably max it out in this space, but that also is nearly, let's see, I think our capacity here is 60 in this room. So it's at least twice as large. And we did a little bit of back of the envelope sleuthing. We staff, Kelly Brooks did. And our new chambers, this new chambers would be about 1,900 square feet. For comparison, new chambers in other cities, Lake Oswego's is 3,800 square feet. And Anne help me remember, I think she checked with Happy Valley and theirs was 2,200 square feet. So,
well, that didn't include the dais, so I think it was actually closer to about 3,000, but yes.
So we're moving into a space that'll be at least twice as big as what we have, but still probably on the smaller end when we visit neighboring chambers. So in this configuration, you come out of the staircase here. Can you see my arrow when it's moving around? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the lobby here. You'd come out. There's the elevator and the stairs. You'd come in. This is the doors. You'd come in. And there was council discussion last time about which configuration makes the most sense for safety, but also for comfort and ease of access. And I think we ended up on this configuration because it moves the fewest walls, like these walls down here it's called a jury room, but think of it more as your executive session and the judge's chambers or side room during court days. And this all exists. And so it's easiest to convert for that. So this is that configuration. This is the Main Street side. So this is the east side of the building. This is the southern end and then the west side. The dais would still be on this end. There'd still be a room divider here so that we could maximize use of the room for non-public meeting times, including there's discussion about using the room divider on court days. So this would be the staging area for court, and then the judge, the court clerk, and the person before the court at the moment would be on this side of the room divider. Another door, this was kind of indented on this end, but we also talked about safety from the dais, and then now there'd be 2 exits on either side of the dais to get out and into this back secure hall or out into the hallway into this staircase there. A little bit of relabeling of the office spaces over here, a council office, a mayor's and judge office, and then space that has not been totally nailed down yet, but I know Kelly Brooks is entertaining a couple of proposals for that. The other big change that I don't think was included, I think was included in one of the options, but not on both options, was the gender neutral bathrooms. We're looking at reconfiguring. Right now, the bathrooms are in this location, but it's the male and the female versions. And this configuration would have 3 gender neutral bathrooms accessible to the public. And then it looks like 2 gender neutral bathrooms available behind the locked staff area, which council would have access to as well from that end. This conference room is pretty much as is and would stay like it is. Yeah, I think those are the big changes. Anne, am I forgetting anything? But it's essentially option 1 with a few modifications. And so at this point, if council has any thoughts or questions or comments on this, we'll have to entertain those.
Anybody?
Just confirming that that's a restroom. It looks like an ADA accessible restroom off of the jury room in council.
Down here, I cannot speak to its ADA accessibility, but it is an existing restroom that would have been built by the credit union in 2003. So it's not super old, but yeah, that is a restroom off here. I think this was originally envisioned as an executive suite for the credit union, but.
Gotcha. Okay. Looks great.
And the
Thanks.
room here. Yeah, sorry, Kathy. Yeah, thank you. See a thumbs up from Councilor Beatty. In this view, I'm trying to see if I can see everybody. I see Desi, thumbs up. Okay. All right, great. Well, that was the bulk of this item. So I will stop sharing so I can see if, I don't see Steve. I was popped on here quite yet. So But thank you for the feedback. I'll send that information on to Kelly Brooks, who we hope Kelly is feeling better. Yeah, go from there.
And honestly, y'all, if Steve's not available tonight, we can push this to our next meeting. This isn't a big deal. So I'd rather do that than keep you on a call for the evening. Does that work for you all? Okay. Since some of us are feeling a little under the weather, I think it's probably for the better anyway. Okay, then with that, Scott, if you wouldn't mind just messaging him and letting them know that that's where we're at right now, and we will put this on to the next meeting. But thank you, everyone, and that's all I have for tonight.
Are there any council reports? In that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thanks.
Aye.